Hi, everyone. This is Marilyn Bradford, and I would like to welcome you to my Left Turn podcast. What is your left turn? Writing a blog, parenting in a different way, letting go of the old because you are aware of something greater. Left turns are choices we can all make. It's about a willingness to step into the unknown in any area of your life, to trust yourself, to risk creating or trying something new. It's about letting your true uniqueness shine. The greatest people who have lived, artists, statesmen, writers, explorers, musicians, have all been people willing to turn left. What capacities do you have that you have not acknowledged? What would your life and the world be like if you were willing to turn left? Welcome, everyone, to the Left Turn podcast. I'm Marilyn Bradford, and today I have an absolutely delightful Canadian guest, Cassy Summers. Cassy is an access consciousness facilitator, and she uses tools and techniques to empower people, and that's anybody. I mean, I get that Cassy empowers people at the supermarket. So, she's just like a walking empowerment. She's a life coach, a mom, author, creator of As If by Magic. And I love this sentence. Energetic wizardry is her thing, and she approaches it full of curiosity with a dash of sass and a unique set of tools that she discovered with Access Consciousness. What if you are capable of far more than you think you are? And I think that's a pretty darn good description of Cassy. So welcome, Cassy. I'm so glad you could come on and be on this podcast. So I'd like to start with asking people, if you go back over the left turns of your life, what are some of the most significant ones?
Such a great question. And I love your podcast. I just want to say that. I think one of the most significant ones, I picture like the track I was on, right? Like I was married. I was having the whole thing. I had like long, perfect hair. I was doing like this reality of what I thought beautiful was, like very modest clothes. And I was like, and I connected with kids. I was going to work with kids, and I had this whole mapped out. And I actually remember, Marilyn, in grade 12, we were told to write a timeline like the rest of our lives.
Wow.
I know. I'm like, oh, I resisted it. But I had to do it because you have to do things. So I remember going, okay, fine. So I'm gonna graduate high school. I'm gonna do some college stuff. I'm gonna get married. I'm gonna have kids, and then I'm gonna die at 35. That was my plan.
Oh my gosh. Because 35 was old when you
that was old. And I'm like, and then I don't have to suffer this world too much, and I can still be a mom, because that's all I was certain about, was that I wanted to be a mom. And I was going to be the best mom. And I'm like, this is the path. So I have the best marriage, and I'm going to be the best, perfect mom. I read all the parenting books. Like I was on it, Mm-hmm. So then my left turn, divorce, total career change, hairstyle change, life change, and like me change, like actually discovering who I am. Yes. Rather than who I thought I was supposed to be.
Yes.
That was probably my biggest like left turn.
That's pretty big. That's a whole lot of things. How was it for you? I mean, what led you to the choices? And it just seems like I wanted to get like a before and after shots of you,
You should see them.
It's married with a long hair and the mother's clothing. And now, I know you to be pretty amazing in creating different looks and what you wear and all of that.
I'd be like a $5 t-shirt that's up to here, and like just very like, yeah. So what like I started to kind of wake up, I guess. We have this awakening. Like some of us have moments, maybe you got ill or a car accident or something. And for me, I had this like, and I kind of woke up and I was like, something's kind of weird about my life, like what? what is this? And I remember seeing like different, people with like outrageous hairstyles, and it reminded me of my youth when I used to be so like vibrant and free and fun. And I'm like, no, I have to like tighten everything and micromanage and be this perfection. And I'm like, I kind of started to have this yearning for something more. And I didn't see how I could do it here in this way.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
started to like ask questions, and that's one of the tools of access consciousness that we like to ask questions. I started to explore stuff, and I started to realize, which is so interesting, how abusive my husband was. But I thought I was in the perfect marriage.
Of course.
Yeah. And I was like the marriage to have. Like all my friends and family were like, you have the perfect marriage.
Apparently not.
So it was a big leap because at the time, I mean, I wasn't financially, I wasn't making my own money. My kids were very little, 3 and 4.
Wow.
I didn't live around any family. So it's not like, you could just move in with your mom or your dad, like move home for a little bit, get on your feet. I was like, there's no getting on my feet. It's just quicksand. And hopefully we're going to survive this, kids. Like that
That
my
took
life.
a lot of courage. Most people would go, oh, I don't think so. They weren't a safety net.
Yeah.
So you really jumped off the cliff without a safety net.
Yeah.
That must have taken a lot of faith in yourself, or knowing, or, that's just pretty amazing.
Yeah. Thank you. And at the time I didn't feel courageous. I felt like a pile of poo, and like, I might be leading us like off a cliff. Like I literally didn't know, but somewhere I knew that I had to take this leap, or I was going to be that 35-year-old dead person.
Yes.
Like I actually later on found out that I was creating cancer in my body. So I was on my way out. Like
on your way out.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad you stayed.
Me too.
That's amazing. So how and when did you find access consciousness?
So I was pregnant with my second kiddo. I think I was like close to the end, like maybe 8 months pregnant, big belly, right? And I chose to go with midwives. So some people don't know what midwives are. It's essentially, it's instead of having a doctor deliver your baby, you have people that are trained specifically with delivery, and they're called midwives. And there can be male ones, but even though it says the word wives in it. And so I had these kind of alternate kind of funky ladies, and they were like, hey, there's someone that we know that does this thing called access bars, and they're offering like 3 free sessions. Do you want to try it? And I'm like, okay, what is it? And they're like, yeah, we don't really know. Explain it. And I'm like, I do like weird things. Like, okay, I'll try that. So I had at that time, I mean, you can imagine 8 months pregnant, there's some back pain going on for most ladies. I also had chronic back pain since the age of 12. So I was really used to a lot of back pain. And I'd done all the things. And I tried chiropractic. I tried some kind of physiotherapy stuff, massage, like nothing was really changing it. So I just lived on medication until I got pregnant, and then I couldn't. So I just dealt with it. So I had these 3 sessions. We never once talk about really my body or anything. And the back pain disappeared.
Wow.
And I'm like I remember walking, like waiting for it to find me. I'm like, did I just escape something? Like what happened? Yeah. And it was so incredible and unbelievable that I knew I had to pursue it more. I knew I had to like have more of this in my life. So yeah, I took my first foundation while I was breastfeeding my 3-month-old. Like it was pretty cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
I bet they got a lot out of it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I could see the difference in my 2 kids, and the ease the one that was in the belly actually has. They both have a lot of ease, but yeah, it was pretty incredible.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting how left turns can really, especially, I think I would say a lot of us probably don't even know when you make that left turn. And I'm wondering for you, Marilyn, too, like you don't always know where you're going. Like you
No.
don't always know, like it's not predictable. It's not,
Yeah.
which is probably where the most change happens, right?
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
because it's not predictable. It's not solidified. It's not an answer. It's not, I mean, that thing about your timeline, I can't imagine asking a child to do that. Talk about locking yourself into something. That's
Yeah.
insane. And
Yeah.
also sometimes it's not, now, of course, getting a divorce, realizing your husband's abusive, you have 2 kids, that's a big thing. But I found a lot of the left turns have just been like, oh, I'm going here. Oh, I need to go to this store, and then I meet somebody, and that kind of thing. It's really interesting. I did a bit of a small left turn today. I live in Santa Fe, and we have this, it's the biggest Native American Indian jewelry and pottery market in the US, if not the world. But anyway, so it's very, you can't park, or you know what I mean, it's one of those. And I just thought, you know what, I'm going to go get a hotel room. And it was so light to get a hotel room, even though the prices are way jacked up for the 3 days. There's some whatever I need to be, not need to, but it's really light to go there. And I'm like, this is nuts. But then, of course, the room I wanted was available. My cat sitter was available. It's amazing how, with a lot of left turns, there is this support that seems to come. Everything just seems to kind of flow or be there for you.
I love that so much. That actually reminds me. So just yesterday, I was trying to, downtown parking where I live in the summer is ridiculous. And so then my brain saying, let's go to the parkade.
Okay.
My brain saying, and then I see, and it's like 21 spots. And I'm like, but it's not light.
Yeah.
My brain's saying, go in there. So I go in there and I do one loop and I'm like, I gotta get out of here. So like left turn, right?
Yes.
I'm like, get out. And so I zip down. And then as soon as they pull out, there's a parking spot right in front of where I need to go.
Of course. I love it.
But if I followed my brain, it was like, I would have just kept looping that thing
Yes.
forever.
Yes. No, I've had similar things. And that's when you start making left turns like you did, and I just keep referring to the divorce, but it's such a big one. Then you get the sense of the capacity to trust yourself and to listen to that awareness, the consciousness, whether it's a parking spot or investing in something or finding a new friend, whatever it is. It's like we develop that muscle of really knowing what to do and not going into our heads. And I was raised, the brain up kind of thing.
And thank you for saying that, actually, because I'm going to acknowledge I did. That was because a lot of people ask me, like, how come you have such trust in like what you know? And you just like pinged my awareness, Marilyn, was that was the beginning for me. Because at first I didn't trust, but I knew I had to. I just knew I had to.
Yes.
And then after, because how much my life changed, how much it became greater, my kids' lives became greater, everything, like, I think that was that moment where, like you said, you developed that trust of, wow, I do know. I do know something, and I do know a lot, and it's okay to trust that and follow those left turns, follow those pings.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So are there any other left turns that stand out for you in what you do, or?
Oh, good question. I mean, I see left turns all the time, like even everyday life, there'll be stuff like anything, all the, well-laid plans. And then my kids will left turn, we'll be like, okay, we're headed to the beach. And they're like, yeah, I don't want to go anymore. It's heavy. And I'm like, what? But if I fight it, then it's either we forced to go and it's not fun, or we stay and it's not fun. But if I just follow, okay, what is this?
Yes.
Like, get into the question, explore it, then we always have a greater time.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah.
Than ever before. And so that's a really, for parenting, I would say, I mean, we want to be the best parents we can be. And sometimes those things where you're hard trying to go down the super highway is because you think this is predictable. You think you're on the path, you think you have got it right, and then left turn. So my kid did a left turn actually that changed my whole life just a couple of years ago. So he was going back and forth from my ex and me. And he decided just one day, he said, yeah, I'm not going to live with dad anymore.
Wow.
I'm like, okay, well, this is something we have to have more of a conversation about, you know? There's other things involved. And he ran away and left him. And I don't want to get into too much of the details, but essentially he jumped his own track. He was like, and so then my life, where I used to have 1 week, no kids, 1 week with kids, right? It completely changed. So like his left turn, but I can see so much of the gift and the possibility in that. Whereas if I was fighting it, I would be like, now I have like more expenses. Now I have like less freedom. How am I supposed to work when I blow, you know? But I really looked at, whoa, okay, what's the gift in this? What's right about this? Like my life I didn't think I was taking a left turn.
You were.
Just changed, right?
Yeah.
And the more I'm following this new track, I'm exploring, like, it's like if you're like on a detour, right? Or you're like on an adventure. And I'm like, I'm not on the super highway, because I was like, I'm going to travel, I'm going to do this, and like, this is going to happen. And like, and then
I figured it out.
I got it figured out again. That's what happened. First was like, take you on an adventure.
Yes.
Like, buckle up, Cassy, because we're going off-roading.
I love it.
So I've been really exploring like a whole new life right now, and I've changed so much from that as well. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and you bring up a really good point, which is that we make or we receive left turns or whatever from our relationships, different things. I mean, I was recently evaluating some friendships, and I'm like, you know what? It was great then. It's not so great anymore. And it's not about, oh, I'm breaking up with you. It's more like, okay, so what's possible with this? You know, how can I be with this? And what's going to create greater for both of us? And do I need to say anything or not? Or just, drifting apart? So it seems that if you don't solidify relationships and what they have to look like and what they're going to be for 5 years in the future, then you have a lot more possibilities.
That's so beautiful. And for both parties, really.
Yes, for both parties.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool to look at that, like how much that left turn can de-solidify futures that you've decided, or relationships, or whatever it is, right? And I like, even more through this conversation, I'm like, what a gift it is to be able to because for some people that's impossible, to take that left turn.
Get that. I'm like, why not? I know it is impossible for some people.
Yeah. And I think a lot of my friends got kind of scared of me, like as if divorce is a disease that you might like catch. Like, so a lot of people, like, oh, I don't know if I can talk to you anymore. And so, because that was quite a radical choice in a lot of my connected people's lives to choose that, Yeah. So how much do we scare people when we take our left turn?
I think we scare them quite a bit. And then there becomes a kind of a non-compatibility.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
someone is really rigid about things and you're doing more and more left turns and trusting your knowing, and they're in their heads and figuring it all out and judging, and I don't mean to put them down, it's a perfectly legitimate choice.
Yeah.
And it's incompatible with people who are really doing the kinds of things you've been doing, or me, or, people we know.
Yeah. So it is super fun to hang out with people like you.
Yeah.
When I think even when we're out, we're in another country or city, we're hanging out and it's like, oh, we're supposed to do this. Hey guys, do you want to
Yeah.
go over here? Do you want to? And it's just, and you get to like be in that play and that chaos with
Yes. Yes,
people
exactly.
that
You
are
do.
compatible, that do resonate with that.
Yeah. Yeah. So would you say that your business life has taken left turns too?
Oh my goodness. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, one thing was I mean, I had decided that I pretty much sucked at everything other than working with kids, because kids are just so easy. Like they're just
For you.
for me. Yeah.
Yes.
For everyone. I thought that was just like that's the,
So
obviously.
that's for you, Cassie. I don't think kids would be easy for me.
No.
No.
Okay. That's so funny. Yeah. So in my head, it was like, if you can't do anything, work with kids, because that's anyone can do that.
Right. The thing
So
that you're really good at, that you then minimize the value of, and anybody can do it.
exactly. Yes. So that was my career path. And I actually worked at a kids entertainment company for 2 years. So I
wow.
dress up like Tinkerbell, or like,
I love it.
and I got to go do kids' birthday parties. And I'm like, this is the best. Like these kids think I'm actually Tinkerbell. Like they still believe in magic,
Yeah.
And yeah, and so that was the career path. So when I stumbled upon becoming an access consciousness certified facilitator, I mean, first I had to overcome the idea that I would never be good at that,
Uh-huh.
because I suck at everything. So there's no way I could do this, right? And then, so then going from, okay, I'm going to be this kind of facilitator, right? Probably trying to do it right a little bit. And then I sometimes do. and then putting all of my energy into kind of creating a niche in like a particular area. And then having that like shatter essentially. And then
Okay.
going, oh my gosh, like, where do I go now? Like, I just spent like 5 years building this thing, and now I'm like, it's gone.
Yeah.
Like, where do I go from here? And then starting to like explore it. But what's so cool is when you take those turns, and I used to have like a staff of 15, and then I had a staff of 1. Like, it was like lots of extremes. And so, but you get to learn more about yourself and learn about like discover, who am I with business, not from defining it, but like getting really curious, like, who am I with business right now? What would actually be fun with business that is congruent with who I am now? Because I'm so different than when I started.
Yeah.
And like, yeah. And so even just right now, this summer, funny that you brought it up, I kind of like took another turn, and I was like, all right, you know what? I'm going to change everything up with my business. I'm like, I'm going to bring in some new interns, which has been a really fun energy. I'm going to explore this new membership thing, and we're going to launch it in this way. And we're going to be really outrageous and loud about it, instead of like this. The last couple of years, I've just been kind of quiet and like, yeah. It's been a really fun ride and an exploration of myself, I guess, through that.
Yes. And that's what left turns seem to do, is they then require us to explore who we are more and greater. And what about this? And oops, this came up, and okay, now what? But I just love that. And sometimes I do we have these kind of fallow periods, right? Recovery's been kind of in one of those, and now it's been coming up again. It's like, okay, we're reinventing ourselves. How does it get any better than that?
Yeah.
I really do get that. Well, thank you so much, Cassie. This has been actually such a joy and a pleasure. And thank you for coming on and being part of the Left Turn podcast.
Thank you. And thank you for the gift you are in the world, Marilyn. You were such a gift to like myself personally and to so many people. And I can't wait to see what this podcast creates in the world. So thank you for having it and having me.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining this episode of Left Turn. I wonder what embracing left turns could create in your life. What magical possibilities might show up. Remember, when you choose left turns, you are joining a group of the most creative and brilliant people the world has ever known.